Happy Sunday, everybody. It's Happy Showcase Sunday. And this week's amazing Showcase Sunday is Wendy Sneddon. Now, Wendy is from Forget Me Not Properties, which she'll explain now. So, Wendy, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Alison. So we create spaces where great memories are made. I'm Wendy Sneddon from Forget Me Not Properties, and we buy property in any condition, and then we refurbish it, breathe life back into it, and put it back on the market, either for sale or for long or short-term rent. In a nutshell, is kind of what we do. We have built a portfolio of buy-to-let properties, and we moved into the SA market a few years ago, so just creating holiday homes, if you like, and so kind of going into that hospitality world, and now starting to look at buying buildings and converting them into apart hotels and that type of thing.
Excellent. And when you're looking at this, because this is something, as we know right now, the industry is quite volatile with the latest news on gas not having a cap, which is a bit crazy, a lot crazy, and hopefully that will change. But when you look, there's lots of investors out there at the moment. I work with investors who are looking to purchase properties, purchase land, and build, hospitality venues on this. But you have got an all-round approach. You're not just doing this for investment wise, are you? You're also on the other side looking for people who want to invest as well. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've learned a lot over the last few years, and one of the things we do is we want to encourage people to get into property, because there's thousands of empty properties across the UK just sitting there doing nothing. So there's a passion there to kind of bring these back into use. So the more people get into property, the more people will find these empty properties and do something with them. And then there's also that passion for, not everybody wants to buy a property and do it up and get involved at that level, but they might want to make money from property. So we also provide an opportunity where people can invest in projects that we're doing, and benefit from the growth that we get within the investment. And we keep, they can get involved in the project if they want. We've got different kind of things, different the way we do it. We're just about to launch a crowdfunding raise very soon in a really exciting project. So that's going to allow people who want to invest as little as £100, and because lots of people say to me, how much does it cost to invest with you? And, up until now, we've really been looking at larger amounts of money, because from our point of view, it's easier to manage one investor that puts in a lump sum than lots of people. But there are lots of people with a little bit of money who's sitting in the bank that, is earning next to nothing, and they might want to have a bit of fun with it. And so, you can go to the casino and spend it, or you can look at other investment opportunities. So we're really excited about launching this in a few weeks' time.
That's amazing. That's great news. Wow, and you're right. This is the interesting part of what's going on in the industry right now. There's a lot of long-term family businesses that have been generational, decided to sell up, and that's since COVID, to be fair. And I've seen a lot of that happening, and passing it on to investment companies, financial companies, and it is quite interesting. Because you have that experience to be able to take that on, but actually, if they wanted, they could still have an investment within the organisation, couldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So, people are selling businesses for all different types of reasons, and if it comes down to, financial issues, or maybe they've grown out of love with the running of the business, then there are things that they can do to help that business run by itself. if they still want to kind of maintain the income from it, or if they do want to just kind of move it on, you know, we can look at them keeping equity shares, you know, within the project as we move on, which means they can earn some of the profits and benefit from, you know, the future increase in value as property goes up. You know, yes, it goes down, but on average, every 20 years, property doubles in price. So it's, you know, you're on a winner. So if you want to get out and get some of your money out, that's great. But if you want to leave some of your money in, that's even better, because you're leaving a bit of a legacy for yourself.
Excellent. That's exciting. So that's what's unique and different about you, because there are lots going on out there, but you have a management approach as well as an investment approach, which is really handy. And you don't just do hospitality, do you? Because I know you have taken on a police station. Is that right?
Yeah, so the police station, I mean, it's an empty building, which is kind of what we love. And we're going to create a business centre and a sort of a centre for entrepreneurship, if you like. And it's in a remote part of Scotland, so Peterhead, which is in the very, very far north. And Peterhead's a beautiful place, it really is. It's suffered a lot over the years, you know, with the decline in the oil industry, but now it's starting to blossom again with renewable technology companies kind of, you know, making their spaces up there. So we're going to create a centre where we can encourage young people to come and learn about, you know, running their own businesses. And you know, because if there aren't enough jobs out there, people have to think about different ways of earning an income. And, you know, why wouldn't you work for yourself if you could? So we want to look at how we can support more young people get into business and start up their own things, support themselves.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I know we've covered a lot of how and what do you do to help the hospitality industry right now and in the future. Is there anything we've missed, Wendy?
I don't think so. I think, you know, for people who have got concerns about their business and think, you know, selling up the business might not necessarily be the only option. And I think it's good to sit down with, you know, someone like me, someone like yourself, to kind of, okay, let's dig into the business a little bit. Let's find out where the pain points are, what the problems are, because there'll be solutions. And if we can help you find those solutions, maybe you can fall back in love with the business and, you know, make it fly again. But if it's not for you anymore, and you know, because you know, sometimes you've done something for a long time and it's time to move on and try something new. So yeah, I think it's really important to dig into why you want to sell. Have you considered other options? If not, let's look at them. If you have, then that's fine. We can look at how we can best move that business on. And I think as well, if people are thinking about selling, you're probably too late to kind of do a lot of the things that would really maximize the value of your business. And that's, you know, it's really important. If you've put 20 years into running your business, but it's just you running that business, you're probably not going to get a lot of value out of it. The value has been in what you've earned over the years that you've run it. It's really important to look at how can you get that business running without you, because that's where the value is. If that business can be run by anybody, then it's going to be much easier to sell. It's going to increase in value. And so for anyone thinking about selling, it's worth starting to think about, okay, how do we put in the systems and processes where, you know, the business runs itself or with other people, and you know, let's look at those options. I think within hospitality as well, you know, in terms of hotels and large guest houses and things, with COVID, you know, they all shut down. That was the end of it. And it was quite traumatic. We have serviced accommodation apartments, so they are houses or flats, and you know, everyone cancelled their bookings at the beginning of the pandemic. But what we found out was that because they were self-catering and because they had their own entrances, we were able to then trade again, and we got contractors staying initially, and we managed to kind of fill the rooms again, and that was really good. So it's about, you know, potentially COVID-proofing your business. How could you create your building to become more self-service, if you like? You know, is there a way to do that? Because that mean it less relies on you to kind of be there all the time. And so again, that's just another way of looking at how your business could maybe change a little bit to reflect the, and protect you going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm always big on exit strategies, no matter whether you're starting in business or whether you're halfway through or your ultimate goal is to walk away. Because if you've got a very clear exit strategy, you can plan that from word go, knowing the length of time, the journey that you're going to go on to ensure that you get the best value. Or if you're on that last bit where you're exiting soon, then make sure you, as I call it, use it as a bit of a cash cow to get the most out of it before you actually pass it on. It's so important, and that really needs expertise, help to go in and help define that, because sometimes people do forget, and I've seen that so many times. They forget the value of what they've got in the business. So, can I ask you, as I ask all of the Showcase Sundays, what are your 5 top tips that you would offer?
Okay, so I think my number one tip, and you'll know all about this, is remember your why. So why did you get into doing this in the first place? What is your passion? And is what you're doing still meeting that passion, or is it time to kind of do something different so that you are working to your passion? So, let's going back to that, revisiting that. So many people start a business or start doing something and then they get a bit stuck, but they never really knew why they were doing what they were doing. And so sometimes it's not the right thing to do. And it's, so remember why did you do it? Know your numbers. And again, this is something you'll be teaching your clients left, right, and center. It's so important to track as much as you can, know how much money's coming in and know how much money's going out. And you need to track it daily, weekly, so that you can, and forecast a little bit as well. So you can see where, in a few weeks' time, we might run out of money. Okay, well, let's do something about that now. Let's increase sales, or how can we, bring the costs down a bit? You can't do any of that if you're not tracking. So I think knowing your numbers is a critical part of running a business. Really important in the property as well. We have to make sure that we know all our costs when we're doing a property up. We always have a contingency fund because we always find something that we weren't expecting. But yeah, we track those budgets, and then the running of the property after that. Set up systems and processes, and I've mentioned that already. But if you were to pop your clogs tomorrow, how would your business survive? So if you've created a business and you're really passionate about it and you love your clients, you want to make sure that the service they're getting will continue when you're not around anymore. So it's, what can you put in place? And that will really help you move forward, towards the end. Choose the right people.
Yeah.
So, it is so important to be surrounded by great people greater than you. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle a bit. You've got to get your ego out of the way and employ people better than you, because then you can truly step away when you need to and do the things that you want to be doing, and be that figurehead of your business, and kind of reach out for new opportunities. And I think, I've got an HR background, so I understand, the kind of challenges that are faced with recruitment at the moment. But and this is why having your why is so important, because people will be attracted to you because of what you believe in. And so remembering your why and shouting about that, is what will bring the right people into your arena. But so a good team around you. And then get your business running without you. That has to be tip number 5. It has to be tip number 1, but it's, and this isn't about saying I'm going to be a lazy so-and-so and not do anything. This is about saying, I want to, if you want your business to run better, you have to be able to look above and kind of see it below and kind of see everything that's moving. If you're there busy working in the business, then you're
Yeah.
not going to have that overview and be able to see where the opportunities are, you know, what new services could you offer. And yeah, it's about working to your strengths as well, you know, become a business owner. And eventually one day you may want to sell that business, or you may want to pass it on. And if you've created it in that way, then it's just going to be so easy to do and so much more valuable as well. So those would be my kind of top 5 tips.
Absolutely. And it is so true. The amount of businesses that don't know their numbers, it scares the living daylights out of me. But you're right. You know, and I know a lot of businesses right now are firefighting. So it's all hands on deck, but you've got to get it where you're not in that position. But yeah, creating a compelling reason why somebody should come and work for you. If you, oh, it's rubbish, or we're really short staffed and I've not had a day off in 6 months, you know, is not what somebody wants to hear when they're coming to work with you. So yeah, it's being mindful of all of those elements. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Thanks, Wendy. Great top tips there. So is there any examples where, you know, you've helped save time and money in the industry, and, you know, added value to your clients, and that's a no-brainer with your field?
Yeah, so I think for us it's looking at different ways we can make use of the property and still provide a service that, you know, people want. So by repurposing properties, so by making hotels self-service, rather than relying on people to be there, which, you know, kind of COVID proofs your business, if you like. You know, where hotels have got restaurants and bars and things, they might not be sustainable anymore. So why don't you move that space, maybe create some office spaces so that people who are coming to stay at the hotel can come down and do some work. So kind of repurposing it, thinking about the kind of people that stay in the space as well. So I think that's a big thing. And I think what's interesting that's going to be coming up now is serviced accommodation is now going to be subject to licensing.
Yeah.
So there are thousands and thousands of people who are renting out properties illegally, essentially. So people are going to need to get planning permission from the local authorities, and then every local authority is going to be providing a license. We don't know what that is in most areas yet, because although it comes into force in October this year, a lot of local authorities aren't set up for it yet, but it will happen. And they're saying that, you know, you will have to be set up and licensed by, I think it's April next year, and then April the following year, you'll be in big trouble if they catch you and you don't have the license and the planning. So what this is going to mean for the serviced accommodation industry is a lot of people will pack up and stop, because either their property is not appropriate for serviced accommodation, or they just can't be bothered with all the red tape that's coming along. So that's great for the rental market, because those properties will go back to being rental properties potentially. But what it means for hoteliers is all the people that kind of, you know, going off to stay in serviced accommodation are going to need hotels. Now, what we know is they love serviced accommodation. So how can you adapt and change what you do to give them kind of what they got from a serviced accommodation apartment, but in the hotel setting? So can you create little apartments and that sort of thing? So I think it's going to open up a huge opportunity, because a lot of serviced accommodation properties will shut down, and, you know, people are holidaying at home still. So there is a big demand for accommodation. So whilst, yes, there's lots of crap going on at the moment, I think there's a massive opportunity as well.
It's so needed.
Rambled a bit there.
No, not at all. It's so needed as well. I mean, in the industry, it frustrates the living daylights out of all of us. There are people letting out unlicensed, and it scares me. It scares me.
Properties as well, because they're not doing any safety checks or,
no.
you know. So,
if anything
you know,
happens,
we're welcoming the licensing.
yeah,
In all honesty, you know, all of our properties have got the safety certificates, and we do all the risk assessments, as we would do if we were, you know, as landlords. We've maintained that because it's important. If someone's staying in your property, you want to make sure that they're going to be safe. So, you know, the legislation is great, and it will, you know, those that aren't interested will go.
yeah. It'll be interesting times. I'm glad of it, but it will be interesting times moving forward. But I agree, it's thinking about that ideal client of who you're actually marketing to. And if your ideal client is not coming to you anymore, can you diversify into a new ideal client and what they're looking for and what
Yeah.
profit that you can get? But you're right, food and beverage operations has always been the drainer in hospitality, but they've been the driver as well, the driver to bring in a lot of business in certain cases. So it's certainly worth having that conversation to see what is the best for your business rather than just changing it without actually thinking about
Yeah.
the ideal client and the sales and marketing strategy to ensure it's full.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. No, thank you for that. And if someone, because I'd like you to just give us a little bit of a, not a case study as such, but I know you've got a retreat. Can you talk about that? Is that something that you're allowed to talk about that you're working on at the moment? And I'm just thinking a case study that if someone sat on the fence right now, what and they were thinking about your past projects, your current projects, your future projects, of how they want to get involved, whether they wanted to invest or whether they wanted to sell or whether they wanted to work with you to change the property as part of a joint venture, or anything like that. Is there something that you could mention there?
Yeah, so the retreat space is it's the project that I'm going to be launching in a couple of weeks' time. It's a beautiful country house up in Scotland, and it's been run as a guest house previously, a bed and breakfast, and the owners are now retiring. They've had a good life there. And the property's in beautiful condition, so we're going to now operate this as a serviced accommodation. So it'll either be available as a house that will sleep 27 people, or it divides nicely into 3 properties, so we can rent it out as 3 smaller sections, if you like. So we'll be basically renting that property out straight away, but it's set in beautiful grounds, and there are buildings in the grounds which are ripe for further development. So normally we would buy something that needed a lot of work done. This property doesn't need any work done, but the development opportunity is in creating holiday lodges and cottages in the grounds of the space. We're also looking at putting in a yoga studio so that we can do proper yoga retreats, or potentially businesses could go and take a group of their staff and do some team building, or run a sort of business retreat, if you like. So that's really exciting. So for us, we looked at the property. It was a guest house that was being run very much to suit the owners, so it wasn't being maximized. So we could see the opportunity there, and we could see the opportunity to add more accommodation in an area where accommodation was in huge demand. So that works really well. And in terms of so for them, they wanted to retire, they own a huge property. There's not a lot of people looking for that type of property, if that makes sense. So we were coming in and providing a solution to take that away. Another client I'm working with at the moment, we're discussing, so money's a bit of a challenge at the moment. They've got a great business, but COVID hit them bad. They own the building, and so what we're looking at doing is buying the building from them and then leasing it back to them.
Wow.
So what that will do is give them a cash injection. So they can then use that to they've got big ideas to further develop the business. So it's like you say, it's about sitting down and saying, okay, so what are the issues here? How can we fix that? Not everybody really wants to sell their business, but they feel they have to because they don't have any other choice, because they don't want to go borrowing money from the banks or that kind of thing. So it's about looking at I'm a problem solver. So come to me with a problem, and a property problem preferably, and we'll come up with a solution. And it won't necessarily be me that buys the property, but I work with other property investors who are looking for that type of deal as well. So, if it's not right for me, I will find a buyer who will take it on.
Yeah, because you're very well connected in the property field. And I think the other thing as well is if they're wanting to invest in it, there are opportunities and different products that you do for that as well, isn't there?
For investing in
Yeah.
properties. Yeah, well, we've got the crowdfunding projects that we're running, and we've got I've got a short training program. So if somebody's looking at getting into property themselves, because they want to do more property, then they can do this little bit of training. And if they like that and want to do more, then I can talk through and help them build a strategy. And if they really want to make a career out of property, I work with an amazing property training academy, and we can get them upskilled on all the different property strategies that there are. Or if they don't, they just want to put money in, because there are lots of people that just want to invest from their armchair, as we say. Then we can provide opportunities to help them get involved in property without getting their hands dirty.
Fantastic, brilliant. So if somebody was thinking, wow, that all sounds very interesting, it's a one-stop shop for property, and we'll be able to either sell our property, invest in our property, or actually speak to somebody about what are the options if they're currently needing a quite a cash injection. There's so many options out there, and if when they're sitting on the fence thinking about it, they can just give you a call, couldn't they? Is obviously we put at the end of the footage, the interview here, all your contact details if they so wish to have that conversation. What's the best way to contact you, Wendy?
Probably drop me an email, and then we can set up a call. And because I think the best thing to do if you've got a property concern is let's have a talk about it. It won't cost anything to have a chat, and then if there's something I can do to help, then I will propose the solutions and we can take it from there. So it'd be no obligation. I could talk all day about property, so yeah, anyone who wants to talk about property, give me a shout.
It's highly confidential as well, so it's not
Yes, absolutely.
That's the key. Here is somebody's just thinking about, I've had enough, I want to sell, but I've not told my family, or I've not told the team. They can have a confidential, no obligation email with you, and then set up a call.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thanks, Wendy. Did you need, is there anything that you'd like to add, or?
No, I think we've covered quite a lot today. And I think it's just, if you're in a position where, things aren't going the way you thought they would go, and you're struggling and you're not sure. I think it's Einstein that said you can't solve a problem with the thinking that created the problem. Bring someone else in just to take a look at what's going on, just have a chat. And you never know what might come out of that conversation. It might be an idea comes up and you can go away and sort it yourself, and that's amazing. Or it might be that, we need to get a bit more involved, but just speak about it. Don't let it get you down.
Absolutely. I know the last few years for some people it's been horrific, and the current energy prices going up as much as they are has become almost like it's gone way above a toothache and a headache. It's gone way above that. But rather than worry about it and have a conversation, as always, we're here to help and support you. But certainly, get hold of us, and if you're thinking about selling, investing, or wondering what to do with all the options, Wendy's here to help and support as well. So thank you very much, Wendy. Very kind. And as always, we'll put all your links at the end of the interview. And it's wendy@wendysneddon.com, isn't it? To email if anybody feels they need to do it right now. Okay, well, happy Sunday, everybody, and have a great weekend. And thank you so much, Wendy. It's been an honour and a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.